Tesla's troubles seem to be getting worse. The Elon Musk-led electric car company is seeing steep falls in revenue across Europe. The latest numbers from April show declining sales of more than 50% in France, the Netherlands, Sweden, Denmark, and the UK. These numbers come after Tesla saw a 36% drop in sales during the first 3 months of the year in Europe. The company is facing increased competition from other automakers and a backlash against Musk's politics. Joining me now is the Hill's technology reporter, Miranda Nazaro. Miranda, these numbers show Tesla is in deep trouble in Europe, a region where it once dominated EV sales. How much of this drop is tied to Musk's dive into right-wing politics?
Yeah, Drew. So we're seeing sort of the same trends that we're seeing in the US are now bubbling over into Europe for honestly pretty similar reasons. So Musk, who has traditionally not gotten involved in politics, which obviously we saw change just about a year ago, basically he's doing the same in Europe. So in Germany, we saw him get really involved with the election, supporting the far right AfD party, and he kind of used his social media platform X as a huge driver of that. And that gained a lot of international attention. He obviously has more than 200 million followers, so he was a huge player in that race, as well as weighing in on races in the UK. And yeah, there are people who feel like Tesla is very intertwined with Musk at this point, and the political backlash that we've seen in the US because of his association with Trump is just playing out in Europe the same way.
At the same time, across Europe, the appetite for EV vehicles is actually growing. In the first 3 months of the year, sales in the region rose 24%. How concerned are Tesla investors? Are they expecting that despite this trend, they're going to have another bad second quarter?
Right. So I think it's important to note that the US is largely Tesla's market, and investors so far have been largely focused on the US production. However, I think that there are concerns given that China, for example, I know that's not in Europe, is Tesla's other biggest market. And because of a lot of the other conflicts going on with China in the US, China is starting to export more to Europe. We're seeing the rise of a certain Chinese model, and we're seeing that a lot more in Europe. So, yeah, I think investors are increasingly becoming worried because of the ripple effects. And essentially, I think so much attention has been focused on the US, and maybe we're biased because we're here in the US, but I think it is becoming of more legitimate concern, just given that even though Europe is a smaller market, these drops are, as you mentioned, we're seeing them in the 30s, 40s, 50s%, which is notable for even a smaller market.
How much of an impact could Trump's tariff policy be having on European sales and even Chinese sales? Are the politics or the policies turning off buyers or depreciating sales there?
Right. So I think part of it is there's honestly almost this sort of boycott movement, if you will, that often happens when there's geopolitics involved. And so whether people are not buying Teslas in Europe because of Musk's politics or just his association with the Trump administration, a lot of Europeans are, maybe they're not affected by Elon Musk's Doge cuts, but what they are affected by is these tariffs that, as we're seeing, even though they're paused for most areas, China is still having to increase their export prices as well. And so it all is connected in a way. And like I said, China is pumping more into European markets because they know that EVs are becoming more popular and they're seizing on this opportunity of Tesla's backlash. So, yes, I think Trump's tariffs are going to continue to play a part. We know Musk has been against the tariffs. And I think it's interesting to note that Tesla is mostly a US manufactured company. They really pride themselves on that, but they do have gigafactories in Shanghai, in Germany, but now the factory in Germany is kind of facing some troubles right now because they want to expand, but the local officials and people are concerned about environment, they're concerned about the politics of it all. So I think that this will continue to have an effect on Tesla as long as Musk is in Trump's orbit.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Miranda Nazaro, thanks so much.